I'm looking at all the art you got on the back now too. You got mag. That's good. So I've been trying to figure out what I'm gonna do with my background, and you give me some inspiration right now. That Brunson joint right there is tough.
Yeah, that Captain Clutch. The Captain Clutch, man. All right, here we go. Salute to Knicks Nation on this Thursday evening. So nice. We had to do it twice, man. You know, we came on last night for the day one report. The fans said, yo, we need Chris back. Then game two for day two. We heard from Coach, we heard from Deuce, and we heard from Mitch, and got some interesting sound bites from all three parties. So we have to bring our guy back, man. Represented the New York Daily News, he is Knicks insider Kristian Winfield. On today's show, we're going to recap his day up at Tarrytown at Knicks Training Camp Day 2, and what we gathered from Mike Brown's presser with the media, some funny moments with you, Chris, and Mitch and Deuce as well, man. So salute to everybody in the chat. Hit the like button, hit the share button, and subscribe to the channel. The number one show for the fans, by the fans. Let's get into it, man. Let's go.
Man, I'm in all your background, bro. It's the artwork on the
Appreciate
back.
It, man.
It's just a wall of Knicks history. We was just chopping that. And then you got the Knicks fan place. That's why I need a street sign, bro.
Yeah.
I need a street. They was giving street signs out to the players last year. They was giving the street signs out to the guys. You had PJ Tucker Terrace, all this stuff, man. You got a firewall, bro.
Yeah, man. Appreciate that, man. Absolutely. Appreciate it. Yeah, so give us a recap, man. What was practice like today?
Hey, listen, when we got to practice yesterday, it was, I told you how they were doing their fast break drills and then shooting free throws. Today, it was a lot more chill. Guys were kind of in their either individual work, or guys were kind of just shooting free throws, hanging out at the end. A lot of conversations, right? So we saw Tyler Kolek and Malcolm Brogdon putting in some time together. We saw Josh Hart, and everybody was just kind of in their own groups in separate areas of the floor. And then we got a chance to talk to Mitch spoke, Deuce spoke, Coach spoke. And, the really interesting thing today, and Mitchell Robinson had a lot to say today about, his contract situation, and everything. But the most interesting thing was, asking him about the offense. He said that Mike Brown is implementing things that he hadn't seen before.
That's right.
Right. And when you hear that, your ears perk up, because it's like, okay, and we spoke about this yesterday. That's one of the criticisms you had of this offense, was that it didn't have enough creativity. It was kind of cookie cutter. Right. And now you're introducing things that are going to make it unpredictable. And that's a recipe for winning basketball, if you ask me. So we're going to get into a lot of stuff. Mitch had a ton to say, as we're going to get into, but another day of them trying to implement the foundation, the staples that Mike Brown had spoken about today. We wrote this for the New York Daily News today, kind of a peek into their offense and what they're trying to build, and kind of, taking some of those old principles and bringing in some of the new stuff that Mike Brown wants to put in. And the players are all bought in. I think they all understand that speeding up, it's really two things: speeding the ball up, speeding the pace up. We know last year the Knicks kind of worked at a grinded out pace. This year they're going to be running 100 miles an hour and moving the ball, right? This is what we spoke about yesterday. They're committed to having that ball hop around, getting everybody involved. And at the end of the day, Jalen's going to take his cape out. So it sounds like there's a good recipe here for good Knicks winning basketball. And it's just a matter of letting these guys get all on the same page and see what it looks like on the floor.
Yeah, 100%, man. And I'm going to play some of these sound bites from Mike Brown's meeting with you guys in the media today. And, one of the things I was talking to Ian Beckley about in our session a couple of weeks ago, in terms of what questions he had for this team, it was around roles. And in particular, because that was, coming out of the exit meetings, that's what we had heard was one of the sticking points, one of the issues with the team last year, was they didn't feel like roles were defined, were guys accepting of their roles. And so here was Mike Brown on issuing those roles and when he wants to get that done. Here was Mike Brown with the media. Here we go.
Ideally, it would be great to have everybody's role defined before the first game. Now, it could change, throughout the course of the season. But hopefully going into game one, we as coaches and Billy Lang can get to a point where we have everybody's role defined. Not only that we have everybody, but that they've embraced it, so that everybody knows specifically what they need to do when they're out on that basketball floor. Now, we got a lot of guys, and we're a new staff. And so if we get a little behind, maybe it might not happen until after the first or second game. I don't know. But ideally, I'd like to have all that done before game one.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on that, man?
You know, the words that stick out most from that whole segment is we've got a lot of guys. This is not something you could say about last year's team. And you asked Mitch about it, you asked Deuce about it. This is going to give you depth. This is going to give you the ability, as we spoke about yesterday, to kind of get and be able to play us the same style of basketball for 48 minutes and not have guys that are wearing down. This is what happened to the Knicks. They got wore down. This is not just last year. This is the year before that. Injuries pick up, and now you got guys that got to step up that aren't accustomed to doing that. That takes you back to defined roles. And this is going to be something that takes some time, right? There are some position battles here, right? We have to figure out who's going to be the starter. We have to figure out who you've got. Jordan, for the last couple of years now, Miles McBride has been that guy that you're looking to kind of give you that punch. Now you've got Jordan Clarkson. Now you've potentially got Malcolm Brogdon and Landry Shamet, right? You've got options here, and you could be, there's a world where you bring Josh Hart off the bench too. So it's going to take some time, and that's what training camp is for. That's what these preseason games are for. They're going to have to mix and match these combinations of players to see how they can push the pace in different ways, where the defensive lapses are, right? Right now, the offense sounds good, but the big issue last year was defensively. You've got to figure out how to cover for some of these holes, right? So that's going to take some time to figure out as well, and it's going to take combination making. And I'm looking forward to seeing what that looks like, right? I know we're talking about Josh Hart fitting the style in terms of starting and playing fast, but Mitchell Robinson and Mike Brown was talking about this. That man is someone who can change the game just by virtue of his ability to dominate the offensive glass. This man was on pace. He was on a historic pace offensive rebounding-wise 2 years ago before he had that stress fracture injury, right? So if Mike Brown is going to put him in positions, and he said it today, we want to throw 3 alley-oops to Mitchell Robinson a game. All you got to do is close your eyes and throw it up. This is something that we didn't see nearly enough last year or the last few years. And if you're able to unlock that as well, it's just so many different options right now that this team has. And that's why it's going to take some time. And, these roles are going to be defined as camp goes on. But who is penned into the rotation right now. Jalen's going to play heavy minutes. A lot of these guys, the starters, are going to play. It's really, really that 5th to 10th, maybe 11th man who – any one of those guys can go in there and impact the game for you. And that's the beauty of what this Knicks roster is looking like compared to last year where you had 7 or 8 guys maybe. You're looking at 11.
Yeah, and as you said, starting from, say, 5 up, it's about what minutes are they going to get? What can they expect on a night-to-night basis? Are they getting used to it? What roles do they need to carve out? It's different when, like when you look at the contenders, when you look at OKC and you look at the Pacers, like both of those teams, they had a good mix of vets, they had their stars, but they had a lot of young players where it wasn't a lot of egos in terms of, guys coming from a different situation where, they were the guy or they were one of the guys that they've got to get slotted in. With the Knicks, it's a good thing that they have their core 5 or core 6 or 7 moving forward together. But you think about that, the fact that, McCall was in a tertiary role with Phoenix, in a lead role with the Nets, comes back, he's in a 3rd or 4th role with the Knicks. Clearly, there was some frustration with his role last year, probably on both ends of the floor. So I think getting him comfortable is going to be very important. Where does Deuce slot in the Clarkson, Brogdon hierarchy and those minutes, especially if Brown extends the bench? We're going to hear from Mitch, but as Mitch said, hey, starter bench, I'm good. Josh Hart, starter bench, I'm good. So I think a lot of those guys should be comfortable, but there are others who roles definitely need to be carved out for sure.
I think it'd be one thing maybe if this was a team that you're expecting to compete for, a first-round playoff appearance or a second-round playoff appearance. This is a team that wants to win a championship, and undoubtedly, the first step to winning a championship is sacrifice. Everyone's going to have to sacrifice, and this team, I believe, is mature enough to know that. So I think that once Mike Brown, and I think really Mike Brown coming in here and setting the tone, that's really what's going to carry over because, sometimes you have situations where the guys aren't bought into what the coach is saying, and then you have a result at the end of the season where the team isn't as connected as it needs to be. Right now with Mike Brown, it seems like everybody's in lockstep with him. He's got the ears of the guys. They're out there, really giving their all. And I think once he actually sits there and defines these roles for the beginning of the season, now, as he said, these things could change, right? Guys get outplayed every day. Ariel Hukporti outplayed Jericho Sims by the middle of the season, right? We saw that happen.
True.
So that could happen. But to start this season, you've got to let guys know, you got to set expectations, and I think that's what we're going to see.
Yeah, true indeed, man. Salute to everybody in the chat once again. Hit the like button, hit the share button, subscribe to the channel. All of our Fanchise channel members in the chat, salute to you guys on this Thursday night, and to the replay gang if you guys are listening on Friday. Call us up in the KFTV Discord if you want to get your points across on some of the latest training camp storylines. But once again, we have Knicks insider Kristian Winfield of the New York Daily News joining us to recap day 2 at Knicks Training Camp. A couple other Brown sound bites that I liked. He was asked about, how does a coach whose team was 2 games away from the Eastern Conference, from the NBA Finals, how does a coach assess where the team needs to get better? And here was Mike Brown's response. Here we go.
A little bit better, and
oh, let me go back a couple seconds.
How do you go about determining, okay, this is what this team needs to get to the next level?
Again, I think in all areas, no matter what you do, you can get just a little bit better, and so we're going to push them to try to be a little bit better in every area that we believe can help them win. I said one of the things we want to do is play fast, especially in transition. Well, we're emphasizing get to the corners, get to the corners, get to the corners. And if they don't, let's do it again. Big rim run if he's in that position, because sometimes he may trail, but rim run, and do it with speed. If he doesn't, do it again. And so just, trying to implement those little things as well as some others on that end of the floor. We feel, because it's our philosophy, we feel like it's worked in the past, we feel like it can help anybody, especially when you have a group like we have here that's talented and multidimensional and all those other things.
All right, so there you have Mike Brown, a guy who's known to pay attention to detail. That was one of the key characteristics of him coming in. And says, hey, in order to execute what he's looking for out there, these are the things that they are going to be instilling in these guys on a repeat basis in training camp and in practice.
Yeah, this was one of the things where when you look back at how this Knicks team played last year, some of the frustration set in because this team wasn't playing, up to the potential of the pieces that they had. And some of those things were easy fixes. And one of them, as Mike Brown is saying right here, is just playing a little bit faster. Mikal and OG and Josh and all these guys that are just built to run and get out in transition, you've got to play to your team's strengths. And when you look at this roster, this is a roster that can get up and down the floor and turn defense into offense, right? But we just didn't see that happen enough, in part because they didn't have the bodies to do it for a whole full 48-minute game because you're running the same guys into the ground. So this is kind of what you want to hear. And I asked him this question because, it's one thing to come in here and have a way that you played in Sacramento that maybe was successful there, or maybe you saw something on the bench while you were in Golden State. But this roster, the way it's tailored, you've got to really put these pieces together in a way that's going to improve. This team played well last year, right? We can nitpick all we want. This is a team that won 51 games and made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, playing only 8 guys. All right, you have to give them credit because what they were doing worked, and that's why it's impressive right now that the buy-in level is there, because this team, clearly what worked. You can make an argument that all you got to do is add another few players and run it back, and maybe you can get back or take it to the next level. So for Mike Brown to come in and say, hey, we sat here, we looked at the tape, and we think that this, because it worked in Sacramento and it worked at Golden State, and it works everywhere, right? Teams that play fast, that move the ball, these are teams that win. And this is what he's trying to set up here. And to be quite frank, it feels like a breath of fresh air based on the way this team played last year, because now you're going to see more of a modern offense if his vision comes to life here. So excited to see what it looks like in the opener. And I guess we'll see how fast they play.
We talked about the Block Nest monster, Mitchell Robinson. Here was Coach Brown on his thoughts about the Block Nest monster, man. Money Mitch. Here we go.
Glass. And
let me go back a little bit. There we go.
He is a monster on the glass, and that's what we thought of in the past. And we tried to put a big emphasis on, if our big had to go help and take his body off of Mitch for some reason, then our weak side had to crack back, even if it meant picking up a foul at times, just because he can win a game on the offensive glass alone. And that, to me, hadn't changed. Being around him, man, he's got he's got a better feel than what you think, because he's not necessarily a vocal guy, but he's got a great feel for the game of basketball, and so that's something that I've learned about him, being around him, and then just a good dude. He's a good dude. So you combine all those things, and you got a hell of a player right there. At his size and athleticism. The last thing I would say is offensively, again, especially in the pick and roll or DHO, we had to help in those situations. But because you got a guy like Jalen coming off, you got a guy like Mikhail or OG coming off, but we had to make sure our weak side was pulled in, because all you got to, I can probably throw 3 alley-oops a game to Mitch. You just close your eyes and throw it up there. The vertical threat that he is, he's got to be one of the best in the league. If he's not the best, he's definitely in the top 3.
All right, man. Said a lot about the Block Nest Monster there, man.
I mean, before we even get into the basketball, the man's got a farm in Nashville, and that's what he's using to kind of be in shape, and it's going to take him being in shape to play the way that Mike Brown wants him to play. Now, I asked him if he cooks his own meals. He said no. He asked me if I cooked. I said yes. He told me he doesn't believe me. But listen, he's in the best shape that I've seen him in. He looks like he's a guy that's going to be able to, knock on wood, play more games than we've been accustomed to. Listen, Mitchell Robinson is I said this yesterday, he's a very integral piece to what this team can be. And they struggled defensively, and they didn't have that vertical threat that Mike Brown was just alluding to on the floor for a large chunk of the season. And now you're talking about having him in there healthy. My ears perked up when he said you could throw 3 alley-oops to Mitchell Robinson, close your eyes and throw them up, because we didn't see nearly enough of those over the last few years. And when you have a vertical threat like that, you have to take advantage of it. It is a luxury. Teams don't have that, right? And on top of that, the offensive rebounding, we talked about it earlier, historic numbers 2 seasons ago before he has that injury that kind of throws him off. If he can get back to that level, this is a game. This is why it's not a foregone conclusion that Josh Hart starts or that Mitchell Robinson starts. It's a live battle, because either way you go. And Mitch said today, hey, he doesn't care if he's a starter or if he's coming off the bench. He knows he can impact the game wherever, take with that what you want. I know that guys who've been starters, would like to. It's an honor to be a starter in the NBA, right? But at the same time, we just spoke about it. This is a championship window right here. So if you're not going to start, you got to just hold that and come off the bench, because egos can't derail the greater good. And I don't think Mitch is a guy who would let that happen, right? So I think whatever the role is for him, he's going to be bought in. Obviously, this is a contract year for him. So regardless of everything in his best interest, it's to look to stay healthy and to play his best basketball. And if he gives the Knicks that, this is a team where if you've got a defense, I think when Mitch is healthy, he's a defensive player of the year candidate, right? He's a guy that's impacting the game on the glass. You're seeing guys that are turning away from the rim. They don't even want to go to the basket because Mitch is there, right? He has that type of impact. And on top of that, you know what I'm saying? He's going to dunk on people. And just when you add that aspect to everything, this is a guy who could be a starter. So it'll be interesting to see how training camp shakes out. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to him being healthy, because I think if he's just out there more, he talked about back-to-backs, how he's uncertain if he's going to play in some of these. But at the end of the day, back-to-backs or not, you want him there for April, right? You want him there for April and beyond. So we'll see what that protocol looks like and how many games he plays if he's able to go the whole way. But Mike Brown singing Mitchell Robinson's praises today, and for good reason. The man is a damn good basketball player.
Yeah, and as he mentioned, his offensive rebounding prowess. Those are like some of the little things when sometimes I get into people that, the naysays, he's never healthy, blah, 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 blah. Those little things are what oftentimes gets overlooked. And even when you go back to the playoffs, one of the things I said about him going into the playoffs was that when you start him, his impact on limiting the other team's ability to get out and transition can't be understated, especially when you're going up against dynamic point guards like a Cade Cunningham, because of what Mike Brown just explained, in that he alone changes the floor balance of a team, because you have to commit so many bodies to try to box him out to get the board. So if you're doing that, that's less people that you're going to be getting out in transition on the other end. So it's almost like his offensive rebounding ability, in which he was in the 99th percentile last year, right? 5 out of the 7 years he's been in the 90s. That alone helps your defense.
Yeah, 100%. It's a luxury to have a player like Mitchell Robinson, and that's why the free agency is so interesting because you can't really replace him. Like, who are you going to go out there and trade Mitchell Robinson for that's going to give you the same type of impact that you're going to be able to get at his cap number, right? And then next year, if you don't get an extension done next year, you're going to have to pay him more. Right, and then on top of that, you're up against the second apron, right? So it's a tricky spot. And then Mitch loves New York. Mitch would love to continue to play here and maybe retire a Knick, right? But business is business, and he understands that. He's saying he's going to let his agent do all the business, and he's going to do everything on the floor. But at the end of the day, Mitch is that impactful to where you kind of have to make this kind of decision, right? And it's tough. I'm excited to see what it's all going to look like. I want him to be healthy. One thing that I hate is when people try to get on players because they're perpetually injured, as if they wake up every season and say, "Oh, I'm gonna
be injured
this
today."
This is the year I'm only gonna play 18 games." Like, no, everyone would rather be out there. If they could, they would play more. Guys that are taller have a higher injury likelihood, especially when they're moving around. It's just the way it goes, right? So you got to stop getting on some of these guys for being hurt. They're being hurt, but they're getting hurt trying to play the game that they love. And if we could just turn injuries off, everybody would be playing. But, sometimes guys get hurt, and, Mitch is one of those guys. And you understand that's part of the issue with it, too, right? Like, you have to see if he's going to be able to, hold up for a season to decide if you can commit significant money to him, right? So it's so many layers to the thing. But we all know what Mitch does on the floor. And Mike Brown, most importantly, knows what he does on the floor. We're going to see Mitch hopefully unleashed this year.
Yeah. And what he mentioned and what you mentioned with the lobs, that's one thing I think Cap hasn't really been able to utilize with him. He hasn't done that well. The best person with the lob connection to Mitch was RJ when he was here.
Sure.
They had it going whenever RJ would get the ball going downhill to his left. The lob was always there for Mitch. For some reason, Cap just doesn't find him well. Hopefully, maybe it's a Brogdon or Clarkson. McCall's done a little bit better of a job. But when he's in that starting five, they just don't find him. And one thing with Mitch, he said it before, he doesn't just want to be out there running cardio all day. He does it very well, but you got to feed him. You got to feed the beast, man.
Yeah, and I think part of that is, Mitch and Jalen haven't been on the floor as much each other, right? Mitch has missed a lot of the games since Jalen's been here. So now you've got a training camp where they're both here. You've got Mike Brown, who's already said it's going to be an emphasis on trying to get some of these lobs and kind of getting the ball, getting Jalen the ball in different spots and moving that ball around. I don't see why you can't take advantage of Mitch. If that ball is hopping around and you're trying to create an advantage just by moving it. Mitch, and he's talking about rim running. If you're not watching Mitch is out here. Mitch is in good shape. Mitch is in good shape right now, and he's up there running fast, and I think that he's going to be able to just capitalize off rim runs alone. So you're talking about Mitch might have a career high in scoring this year, right? This isn't a guy that you look at as a 10, 12-point guy per game, but this is a guy who might be able to give you that just off lobs and rim runs. Imagine that, getting 12 points a game, getting a double-double out of Mitch every night. Hey.
Sign me up. Sign me up for it, man. And then this last one, this was a funny exchange this was you and Mike Brown, right, at the end, right?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to play it now. Your question to Mike Brown about a viral video that he was caught out on while he was coach of the Sacramento Kings. Here was this exchange between you and Mike Brown at the end of the press conference. Here we go.
I've seen you turn on the Jets yet.
To change.
Hang on, here we go.
I got a lot of
Last one, guys.
Got a lot of Knicks fans asking me if I've seen you turn on the Jets yet. I know you got a lot of players sprinting yesterday. Are you out there running up and down the court with them, or not so much?
Nah, I ain't doing that. Nah. And if you're gonna say it right, you just say it right. What I didn't turn on what?
The Jets. That's not.
Is that what it was?
Well, you had some other words in between.
What I say? Right? You gonna quote me? I need to quote you. You gotta quote me right.
I mean, you did say turn on the motherfucking Jets.
Okay. Now we keep it real in here now. It was dumb. First of all, I'm gonna put that out there, and it was just a spur of the moment thing. But I mean, both my hammies could have been gone, both my Achilles could have been gone, and
So I got the video here. This is what Mike Brown and Kristian are referring to. This was from Sacramento Kings practice, and here was Coach Mike Brown trying to get his guys going. There we go.
Hey, fucking stuff. Turn the fucking Jets. Turn the fucking Jets on. Turn the fucking Jets on. Hey,
Oh,
fucking
man.
turn the fucking jet. Turn the fucking jets
Oh,
on.
that was great.
Turn the fucking jets on.
Hey, can't say he's not passionate, man. That was hilarious, bro.
Yeah, and this is what I wanted to know. I wanted to know if he was bringing that same intensity to these Knicks practices because he was strolling. He had his arms behind his back, walking up and down the sidelines. I'm like, yo, I saw you in Sacramento running.
Where's that
You're
energy
not
at?
hitting the sprints with the fellas out here? And he was like, nah. He was like, I'm 55. I can't get out there and run with them guys like that, man. I was like, I don't blame. I'm at the point now where I'm, you know what I'm saying? I'm 32 and I'm not trying to go hoop too much because I don't want to tear something like that. You know what I'm saying? So I get it. But that's the intensity, right? That's
the
that's what
intensity.
you want. That's the type of environment you want. You want a competitive, exciting environment, guys. The energy today was more chill. That first day of camp, the energy, just getting up and down in fast break drills and running on those wind sprints. I mean, that was that's the type of energy as a basketball fan that you like to see, right? And Mike Brown, it's early, right? There's a couple. He's probably gonna hate us when we start reporting on whatever's going on. If the team starts playing bad, he's gonna love us if we're reporting on stuff that's good. But so far, he's just been a true kind of like pro. You know what I'm saying, in the way of how he handles business with the media.
Yeah, true indeed, man. So that was nice. You know, at least we get some early banter, some early back and forth, and you guys can get to know each other, like you said, before the storm comes and the pressure comes, and you know, then it won't be so friendly when you're questioning, you know, why he left so and so on the bench in crunch time of a bad loss.
We found out as a beat today that Mike Brown is a San Francisco 49ers fan. That is his team. So I'm a Jets fan. I don't know if the 49ers and the Jets play this year. If they do, I need my team to pull a W so I can come through wearing. I got a Jets bucket hat. I got a Jets jacket. I got a Jets everything. So I'll throw that on. But we're not looking too good right now.
Well,
so.
I know the Giants do. So if Dart pulls off a miracle, you know, be sure to send our regards on behalf of Giants fans.
I hate everything the Giants stand for, brother.
Yes.
I can't.
Yeah, I know, man. It's all right, man. It's all good. So yeah. So to everybody in the chat, once again, hit the like button, hit the share button, subscribe to the channel, CP the Fanchise. We got our guy Kristian Winfield, Knicks insider for the New York Daily News in the building, man. Once again, hit the like button, hit the share button, and subscribe to the channel. And the reason I say that is because we got our live subscriber counter right up here, man. Right up here. So now we are at 96,000. We just moved up one. 96,941 subscribers, Chris. So we are on the 100K subscriber watch, the campaign. Obviously, we're going to hit it this year.
Subscribed?
You got to make sure. You got to make sure you hit the subscribe button.
Hold on. Let me pull this up right quick. Can I subscribe in real time?
Yeah, you could be 96,942.
Let's do it.
Yeah, we can test the button right now in real time. Here we go.
Let's see. I'm going to. It's on. Where we at? We on YouTube or where am I going to subscribe? All right, cool. So I'm clicking.
YouTube.com/KnicksFanTV.
Facts.
Yeah.
YouTube. Boom.
Now let's see.
KnicksFanTV. There it is.
Yeah. Let's hit it. I'm watching the number right now, live.
And I just subscribed now.
Okay. It should update.
Let's see it. Let's see if we got the live subscription.
All right. It should be coming in anytime now. Here we go. There we go. 942. That's you.
Those are the numbers.
Officially subscriber number 96,942, man.
96942. I gotta play that in the lotto.
Play that numbers.
I play those numbers. 96942. That's what we gonna do.
Play those numbers, man. But yes, great job. Great job by you, man. And for you people at home, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Free to do so as we continue our quest to 100,000 subscribers. Okay.
Crazy.
Right. So Block Ness.
Congratulations on that, bro. 100,000. That's
Appreciate
massive,
it,
bro. I appreciate everything you do, brother.
Appreciate it. It is a worldwide movement, and we appreciate the For the Fans, By the Fans wave, man. We definitely appreciate that. Okay, yes, Mitch did meet with you guys at the media today, and look, a lot of questions around his future with this team as Mitch is going into the last year of his contract, $12.9 million to be exact. So here was the Block Ness Monster on what that means for him this year and how he plans to approach it. Here we go. Let me make sure the volume's good. Here we go.
You obviously are on an expiring deal now.
Yeah.
Is what's that like Is it added pressure for you, or how you approaching that situation?
I'm gonna come out here and play hard still, regardless. If it's my last, it's the first. It's just come out here and play hard. But at the same time, I'm also gonna let my agent handle that part of it. Like, I'm just play basketball.
Do you expect anything to get done before, or do you expect to hit free agency?
My agent will handle that. I learned well, didn't I? Yeah.
All right, so said all the right things there, but look, man, I think Mitch is gonna be playing with a chip on his shoulder. We talked about it last night. He feels underappreciated. This is year number 8. He's the eldest statesman of the team, so I'm knocking on wood for a healthy season by him. And if he does, he deserves a raise. You know, we just saw Daniel Gafford. He's in the 17, 18 range. I think a healthy Mitch is better. So I think he's got to be in like that 18, maybe 20. It's going to be interesting deal here.
This is why you got to hate the CBA at times, right? Because if there was a perfect world, you'd be able to keep Hartenstein, you know what I'm saying? You'd be able to pay everybody, and there wouldn't be these such severe restrictions on it. But, you know, this is the world that you live in, and you kind of have to operate, and it forces you to make tough decisions. Like, do you want to go into the second apron to pay a guy who is as impactful as Mitchell Robinson is, right? Or do you want to either cut elsewhere on the roster, or do you have to make a tough decision and trade him, right? Like, or can the two sides come to an agreement on a number that keeps the Knicks below the second apron, right? So there's a bunch of options here on the table. One of them, obviously, as we've seen in the past, is you move a guy who's about to be a free agent at the trade deadline. Doing that in the middle of a season where you're going for a championship is a tough sell, especially when you consider how important of a piece Mitch is going to be to this team, right? So now it's, do you get a deal done now? You can sign a contract extension really up until free agency starts, I think until June 30th or whatever it is. And then from there, you know, he's on the open market. So the Knicks are in a tough spot, but at the same time, like we spoke about yesterday, this is a 1-year window, right? This is a 1-year window to go and win this title, and Mitch is going to be a big part of it. Sure, he's going to be maybe a little upset that he didn't get paid this summer, but at the end of the day, you have an opportunity to put yourself in a position to make even more money than you would have gotten this summer. But the reality is, if you do get more money, there's a chance that it's not here, right? So what are your priorities? And at the end of the day, I think everybody's in lockstep right now that Mitch is going to come in, play basketball. The Knicks are going to do and what they think is best for the team. And whatever happens, right? This is a team that wants to win a championship. It's just a tough sell to trade your defensive anchor in the middle of the season.
Can't afford to lose him.
It's tough, right? So it's not like you're trading a wing. It's not like you're trading some of the other pieces. So the Knicks have some maneuvering they need to do, or some figuring out that they need to do. But the other part of it is Mitch has to show that he can be healthy, right? And that's something that you haven't seen. And he's coming into the season healthy, coming into training camp. If he can stay that way, he's going to put himself in position to make a lot of money. So,
yeah, that's why for me, like, you know, they have 14 back-to-backs on the schedule. I wouldn't play him in any of those. I'm getting Huck Porty in there. I'm getting Yabusele.
It's not worth it. It's not. Why even do it?
It's not important. And I would even look to, like, just try to figure out something to keep him fresh. This is an 82-game season plus playoffs, and it's in April when we need him the most. It's against Mobley and Allen, you know, who he bullies all the time. Like, that's when we need him. But, hey, you know, for a guy who's going to be looking for a contract, he's going to want to be out there, I'm sure, playing as much as he can. Yeah. So, and it's interesting because as we look at, listen to his next soundbite and whether he starts or he comes off the bench, another classic Mitch response. Here we go.
Last year, the injury costing you the start of the year, it seemed like Tom worked you in, and then starting by the end of the playoffs. Does that matter to you if you start, come off the bench?
Nah, that don't matter to me at all. I started before, I came off the bench before, I did great in both. So, it's whatever.
All right, there we go. You know what I'm looking forward to, man?
What's that?
Well, on one end, not so much, because it looks like Embiid looks like he might be getting ready. You know, he might be ramping up. I'm looking forward to the revenge game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Mitch didn't forget about that, man.
I'm sure he did it. That was a tough series. I was there. Yeah. And I couldn't believe it. Right. I couldn't believe that the man grabbed him while he's on the floor, while he's trying to get it was some of the most flagrant situations I was. So, and I asked Mitch about it. Well, I asked him if it was good, or if there was any feeling to kind of sticking it to the Sixers at the end of that series, and he goes, "Nah, it's not really." But he was clearly a little perturbed by what happened. Obviously, when the guy makes a dirty play, and then you think about it, that lingered into the next series, and now he's got to get surgery, right? That moment derailed him for quite some time, and he's just now really getting his footing, right? So. Happy for Mitch that he finally seems to be in a good place with his body and his health, right? Knock on wood. Hopefully he's able to stay healthy. But that's going to be, you got some preseason games against the Sixers. I don't know if the Sixers are a team that stay healthy enough to make the playoffs, but a Sixers-Knicks series is always interesting. And look, man, Mitch, like I told you, man, he's got his own farm. He's locked into his diet. I think diet plays a really key role at a certain point in staying healthy. So, we'll see if he's able to last the whole year.
For sure. And speaking of Philly, they just lost Jared McCain. He's got a torn ligament in his thumb.
I saw that.
So he came back. What did he hurt last year? Wasn't it?
I think it was ACL or MCL, something like that.
Yeah, meniscus. He had the meniscus or something last year.
And then today it was a UCL, right?
UCL in his thumb. Man. So they're starting off already wounded. Hey, Quentin Grimes. He while it might be disappointing,
now you gotta pay Quentin. Now, if I'm Quentin, I'm like, I need twice as much.
Quentin Grimes, he's in H-Town. He said, I'm not going to no Abu Dhabi till y'all cut the check. So shout out to Quentin Grimes.
Can't blame him, though. You want me to suit up in the preseason and you ain't cut me a deal yet? I think not.
Grimes hive all day, man. Go get your money, man. Shout out to Q Dot for sure. That's my guy. Okay. So, anything else from the Mitch side of things? He looked like he wasn't really trying to be there today. So,
that's him every day, right? Mitch is always he loves to start talking, and then once he starts talking, he can't wait to stop. Right? But he's in a good spot. He was talking about just getting up and down and being in good shape for the season. I think he's going to be, and we talked about it. He's a really key piece, not only on defense but the lob threat as we spoke about. I'm excited. I'm excited to see it all. I know we're kind of only getting tidbits right now because we haven't been able to see a full game. I'm excited for the preseason opener because I want to just see the combinations that Mike Brown goes with. But I think Mitch is in as good of a spot for training camp as I've seen maybe since I got on the beat.
Well, another guy who had a good summer and it seemed like he was on a media tour. My man Deuce
right.
is on a Hollywood tour, man.
Right. I think his tour started when he made like a crazy shot at like West Virginia when he was outside. I think that paid like a student's like tuition or some crazy stuff like that. And that was just the beginning of a while. Shout out to Deuce, man. Deuce is the guy. And he's a father now, right? Like he's got. Congratulations to him, man.
Yeah,
he's having quite the summer.
Deuce had a good summer, man. He had the baby. He had the book.
Right.
He popped in with us in Vegas. Then he went he was on the Today Show. So Deuce had a good summer. But here was Deuce on the new look offense. And it seems like he's pretty happy about it. Here was Deuce. Here we go.
How different, I guess, are you expecting the offense to look this year versus what we saw last year?
Just a lot more player movement, ball movement. I think last year at times we got stagnant. And we depended on a lot of isolation shots, which is just tough down the stretch. And I feel like this year is going to be a little bit more freedom with the movement and a lot of guys cutting and different guys getting active.
And that was your question, right?
Yes, it was.
And remember, last year during the Game 6 elimination, Deuce kind of went out on the offense again and kind of said, hey, some of the things that exposed us during the regular season stayed the same in the postseason as part of why they lost. So Deuce has kind of been outspoken on that.
Yeah, listen, you can't really expect a team that has certain habits for an 82-game stretch to then find a way to revert back to something different with the season on the line. No, they're going to revert back to what got them where they are, right? And that was just their style of basketball. It worked when it worked, but when it comes down to being in pressure, when it comes down to teams that are scouting you every single day and know what you're going to do, you're predictable. And that's why when you hear things like player movement and ball movement against a system last year that was really isolation and dribble heavy, this is a team that theoretically should be able to put up 140 points. If you're talking about getting out in transition and then moving the ball and everybody touching it and getting around, Deuce is a guy who we've seen when Deuce gets hot, he stays hot, right? Like this is a guy who's going to be able to thrive. And Mike Brown's gonna love him. Look at what Mike Brown did with Keon Ellis. Deuce is a better version of Keon Ellis, in my opinion, right? So this is a good fit for him. And I think it's just it's just really music to Knicks fans' ears, in my opinion, because that offense for the last few years, and granted it won a certain number of games and it got the Knicks to where they are, but it was just so much left on the table, right? And now you're kind of going to be able to maximize the true talent of this squad. I'm liking what I'm hearing from all the guys when they're talking about the offense, and they're all saying the same thing.
Yeah,
it's not like one person saying, "Oh, we're doing this," another person saying, "No." Everybody's saying, "Yo, we're gonna play fast. We're moving the ball around," and that's the way Mike Brown wants to play. That's what they got to do.
Yeah, and he's a guy that he excels in pace, with pace. You know, in the half court, if especially when he's got the ball in his hands, it gets a little bit clunkier. But when they're running and gunning, that's when Deuce is another guy who can be sprinting to the corners or sprinting to, and above the break and step into a nice catch and shoot three when he gets it and playing off ball. So it's going to be interesting to see the combinations that they're running out there with defensively, offensively, where you get the most out of Deuce. Obviously playing alongside Clarkson, I want to see how that works, because it didn't work at all very well with Payne out there, where a lot of people expected it not to. So how him and Clarkson mix is going to be very interesting. And then, like I said, with adding Brogdon in that mix, that's that part of the rotation. I think Brown is going to have a challenge. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
I was just about to touch on that, right? Because Deuce is a guy who, he was the sixth man, right, for this team last year. And now you could have a different sixth man depending on the opponent now. And this is kind of the luxury that this team has. And you look at it, it's like, oh, man, everybody would love to have six guards to pick from, right? But in reality, and I think this is a good thing, because now you don't have to rely on Jalen so much, right? Now you don't have to play Mikal and Josh Hart 44 minutes, right? You can spread that wealth around, and that's going to help guys withstand the test of time for the season, right? So it might feel like maybe some guys' minutes are going down or their roles have been reduced, but in reality, some guys are going to play more some nights and less other nights. It's all going to average out. And that's why Mike Brown was big on, hey, look, we're going to identify these roles early. Guys are going to have to buy into those roles, and these roles could change, obviously, if guys start outplaying those roles. But, guys are going to have to buy in, and you made a great point. Like, that guard spot is clunky right now. It's not like, the center spot is laid out. You've got Cat, you've got Mitch. Yabusele can play some five, but you're kind of going to slot him back and forth, and then Ariel is that option to relieve guys of some minutes. The wings, that's your strong suit, because you've got Mikal and you've got OG and you've got Josh. But that guard spot, right, you've got 3, 4, you've got maybe 5 guys that you could theoretically put there. How do you split that up to keep everybody happy?
Now, another soundbite that people were speaking about or were reacting to, rather, when it came to Deuce McBride, was the question was what his early impressions are about Mike Brown and kind of the counter to Thibs, and here was Deuce in his response to the media. Let me just close this video here so to everybody in the chat. Okay, all right, here was Deuce. Here we go.
What do you, notice about Mike so far as coaching style? What stands out about him to start camp?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, he's been communicating with a lot of guys, just also allowing a lot more people just to talk and to really get a feel for what's going on.
All right, so the communication part, allowing people to talk. Everybody's like, oh, what's that about Thibs? But look, I think overall it's clear that, and I'm sure, you let me know your thoughts from covering the team last year and the year before. Thibs had his way of doing things. He had his style. Was it including others? Was it soliciting others' opinions? Maybe some people may agree, some may disagree there, but clearly the front office approach to the next coach and their hiring, they wanted someone that was going to be a lot more open to collaborate with everybody, top down.
Yeah. A word you hear a lot when people talk about Thibs is, as detail-oriented as he is and as dedicated to the game as he is, he can be rigid in some of his ways, right? And, McBride, Deuce was talking about it today, and he was asked, if he feels like there's a lot more collaboration with Mike right now. And he said, definitely. Obviously, he's been in the league for a while, and he's just, utilizing the staff that he's brought and really just listening to everybody and trying to implement things, right? So this is huge, right? This is one of the things that we know from our reporting
a lot more
about the hire right now on Mike Brown is that the collaboration part of it was big from the Knicks front office, right? Like this is what they were looking for, one of the big qualities in their next head coach, and everybody made a big deal about, oh, they requested permission for this, and they tried to get here, and they tried to get there, and they got shot down here. I don't make too much of that. Like, who wouldn't go see if their dream options are out there available to go get, right? But then you end up on a former coach of the year, right? On a guy who's coached in so many different eras, right? You're talking about a guy who coached with Kobe, who coached with LeBron, who's coached on Steve Kerr's staff, right? And this is a guy who's kind of seen, and his views of basketball have evolved as the game has changed. And the collaboration part of it is a big deal, right? And that's something that the Knicks were really imperative about when they made this hire. So I'm not surprised to hear this at all.
Yeah, true indeed, man. That was your question to Deuce, right? That was you.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else from the Deuce presser or overall from day two?
I asked him what he worked on in the summer, right? And I asked him, because a lot of people will say, you come in the summer and you work on everything, right? But like sometimes there's some specific things that you want to work on. So he kind of, I asked him where he said it was tough because we didn't know what was going to happen. He didn't know who the coach was going to be, right? He didn't know what his situation was going to be. But he said, he's always going to work on his shooting, his ball handling, his defense. Those are things that always get. And that's kind of what that underscores his game. And one of the things that we wanted to see from him was ball handling, right? So it was good to hear him talk about working on that this summer, because he might be put in a position where he's got to play some more one. And the one was a little tricky for him at times because of the ball handling aspect. So it's good to hear him say that he was working on that. But at the end of the day, he's happy to be playing this fast-paced style of basketball. He said he loves playing in the open court, guard, full court. And I think he's excited. This style of play is going to benefit him a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we're going to get a chance to see these guys in just about a week from today as they tip off with the Philadelphia 76ers in Abu Dhabi for a 2-game preseason set. And ultimately, hey, once they get home, ladies and gentlemen, we are less than a month away from the Knicks' home opener against the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Knicks will take on the Cavs on Wednesday, October 22nd, and then take on the Celtics on Friday, October 24th, all at the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden. Listen, we know this is a season of heavy expectations, and with that, look, the prices are going up at MSG. We know that, man. The face value tickets for a Knick game can be a little bit pricey, but that's where our friends at SeatGeek come into play, man. The #1 rated ticketing app and the official ticketing app of KnicksFanTV. Use our code KFTV10 for 10% off your order, or if you haven't used the KFTV code, just KFTV, you get $20 off your order. All right, so a little bit of savings, man. You go to the Garden, go get you a soda, go get you a glizzy or something, go get you a t-shirt or whatever the case may be with the extra savings. When you go on SeatGeek, whether it's the app or SeatGeek.com, look for the green dots. Those will indicate the good to great to even amazing deals based on where that seat is and the price. If you see the red dots, those are the bad ones. Unless you're desperate, you want to stay away from those. So it's very simple layout on SeatGeek. Once again, use our code KFTV10 for 10% off, or KFTV for $20 off your order. Shout out to our friends at SeatGeek for sponsoring tonight's show.
Man.
Okay.
Those tickets, what do you think about those ticket prices this season, man? It was tough to get into the building last year.
Listen, man. I mean, I'm in there. You know what I mean? Like, I'm in I'm in there. But it is pricey. Yeah, hopefully they do a little promotion or something for the fans like they used to do in the early 2000s. But it is pricey. And boy, the Laker game is crazy.
Yeah. Over with.
The Laker game is crazy. So I did get those tickets. I don't know what I'm going to do with it just yet, if I'm going to go or, I'll figure it out. But the Laker game's crazy,
Yeah, I can't wait. That's gonna be a huge. What's the biggest game that you're looking forward to seeing this year? Like, is there a game that you've got circled on your, aside from, obviously we want to see OKC, right? We all want to see them play OKC. Aside from that, is there a team that you want to see that you pay whatever to go see?
That I would pay whatever to go see?
Yeah.
It probably is that Laker game, honestly. Could be one of LeBron's last ones. Yeah. I've gone to not the last one. I went to the one before that when the Lakers came into town, just out of respect. I think that was when he was chasing Kareem. So I went for that. I want to kind of be part of that history. But definitely Lakers and the Cavs open tonight. Two of the East best. Yeah. For sure.
I think for me, Wemby at the Garden.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
the oohs and ahs, just him practicing pregame.
Yep.
Is something that like you don't see that for every player, right? Like and then he understands the significance of playing at the Garden, right? And this is a guy who's going to come through and put on his best performance. LeBron too, as you mentioned, that's a guy who came through. I think he had a triple-double when he came for the last game, and then that's the game OG got hurt, and he leads them to a win. And then I'm trying to think, Atlanta.
Yes,
I think Atlanta, if the Hawks come in, that's a big game.
That'll be a good one,
especially Porzingis coming back, Trae Young being the villain,
Yeah.
Dyson Daniels being the guy who's been giving
Yeah.
Jalen Brunson problems,
Jalen Johnson.
Jalen Johnson's another guy you forget about. Like,
Yeah.
that's a good team,
Yeah.
man. People are sleeping on Atlanta. I think Atlanta could be a top 6 seed this year.
I,
for sure.
I like when we play them. My cousin coaches for them, so I tend to go to those as well.
I like when we play them, but I like when we visit them a little more.
Yeah. So we did both. We did both last year. We went to the MLK Hawks game, and then we went down to Atlanta and had we had a good meetup, man. We had a nice Knicks fan meetup down there in the A. So we'll try to get that in again this year as well. So yeah, man, definitely looking forward to it. All right, let's take a call of the night. Yuri on the Discord. Get on, meet
My
your mic.
guy Yuri,
Pete,
what's going
Chris,
on,
I'm back.
brother?
I'm back.
Day 2. How you
My
doing,
guy.
man?
Good. Yeah, very interesting press conference today. Day 2 of training camp. Next week we got the big game in the preseason. Yes, I count preseason games as part of the main season because this is our first time with a new coach, new system, that the players are going to have to buy into their roles and go into it. And one of the things that really interested me about Mike Brown was the way he expects this team to know what their roles are before game 1 of the real regular NBA season. I like that because if you look back at the firing report, CP, thank you for reporting it when it first got due, the players did not know what their roles were. And I'm a Thibs hive. I've always been Thibs hive. I've defended a man even when he didn't deserve this. That's no excuse. You were in the Eastern Conference Finals and you got by just, I don't want to say luck, by pure talent. Players not knowing their roles is unacceptable. Just flat out. And I respect Thibs for what he did. I love him for what he did. He made us from a joke to a contender. And the time was needed for a new voice in the locker room. And Mike Brown brings that fresh air. He brings the confidence. He oozes it too with the media. I know media is going to get on him if they lose games. This is New York media. They don't play. But at the same time, though, it's nice to hear a refreshing voice instead of, oh, the game will tell you what to do. The game will dictate you what to do. Oh, I got to talk to medical. That was the best one.
You got to remember, though,
go ahead,
man,
Chris, go ahead.
Mike Brown was a guy who would air out De'Aaron Fox in the media, right?
Right.
He's a guy who will call you out in public, right? And that's not something that Thibs did, right? Thibs would, try to protect his guys. Like, Mike Brown's going to hold you accountable. He had meetings with De'Aaron Fox in private, and then he went and, told the same thing to the media, right? Like, this is a guy who's going to hold you accountable. So I'm not saying that Thibs didn't hold guys accountable, but there's a different way that different coaches do it. And I'm interested to see what that form of accountability looks like and how these players respond to that. It seems like they're on it right now.
See how that goes too.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how that goes too. Another point I want to make before I hop off here is, I don't know if it's just me, but did it sound like Deuce was throwing hella shade at Tom Thibodeau as well? Because
I told you,
I
Chris.
know that sounded like it to me. I didn't want to say that, but I know the chat mentioned it a lot. So my point,
let me read you this quote from Deuce about Thibs. The question was, when you have a new coach for the first time as a player, is there any uncertainty? I feel like for Thibs drafting me, and I'm appreciative of what he did for my career, absolutely. I think I'm still a pro. I've approached it the same way, whether it's Thibs. No, that's the wrong one. There's another. Here it is. All my 4 years were with Thibs. He did a great job with me. I feel like in the organization, so you never wish for anybody to lose their job. I wish him the best. Just come in here with Mike, excited for something different. That's the great thing about the league. Things change and you see who adapts. So I'm excited to take on the challenge and adapt. I think Deuce has a very healthy respect and appreciation for what Thibs was able to do. Thibs gave him the opportunity, right? Thibs put him in the game when, in other times, as we've seen, he hasn't put young players in the game, and he gave Deuce a shot. Deuce took advantage of that shot.
Yes, he did.
Now he's a key player on a championship team. But at the same time, we all have our different frustrations with how the Knicks played their basketball last year, right? It doesn't have to be this or the other. There's a middle ground. And while one can be appreciative of what he did for him, like I said, there was a lot left on the table that this team can now take advantage of with a new coach. So I think there's healthy excitement, but also you got to feel for a guy that took this team to the Eastern Conference Finals, really brought the winning. They were putting, street signs up for a conference finals appearance, right? Like he restored the feeling, but at the same time, you just know there's another level, and these guys are excited to get there. So I don't think he was throwing shade per se at Thibs, but I just think it's just, it's the elephant in the room, which was, hey, there was a lot left on the table that this team didn't get to, and you're hoping Mike Brown can be the guy that gets everything together.
All right, thank you for the call episode. I'll see you guys later.
Yeah, man. Yuri on the check, and salute to Yuri. Yeah, I thought he was appreciative of everything that Thibs did for him, and from what we had heard a while back, Thibs was a strong advocate for drafting Deuce here. So I think there was a good relationship there. Deuce worked his ass off through the G League to carve out a really good role with this team, and now of all the young players of the last 5 years or so, he's the last man standing. So it's a testament to Thibs, it's a testament to Deuce, and like he said, time for a change, and let's see who adapts. So. He's going to be one of those guys. I'm going to be interested to see how he adapts and how he fares, because he's a very important piece to that bench rotation.
I think everyone who's part of the last few years of this team has a healthy love and respect and admiration for Thibs. This is a guy who you can't tell me another head coach that works as hard as Tom Thibodeau. Tom Thibodeau is locking himself in the practice facility while other guys are going home, right? Sure. And he's staying there, and they were joking around that he didn't even know what the inside of his house looks like because he's in the practice facility so much. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a guy who's clearly dedicated to his craft, and the players, anytime you ask a player about him, they go, yo, the level of detail that Thibs had is unlike any other coach they ever seen. So you got to show him love. Guys think about Dante. Dante had a monster season under Thibs. You know what I'm saying? Like, guys had insane seasons under this man. So he did something right. It's just a matter of to get to that next step. What do you need? And they're hoping that Mike Brown is the guy that can get them there.
Shout out to D Tucker. D Tucker, welcome to the Fanchise channel members. D Tucker just joined us. Shout out to D Tucker. Shout out to Do Things, our guy Do Things, a Fanchise channel member for 28 months.
Wow.
This question for both of you. If we win the chip this year, do you think anyone on this team would get their number? If so, it's our time. Episode is fire. I guess would get their number.
Like retired?
Yeah, I don't know. Do Things. Are you in the chat? Yeah, I'm guessing you mean retired. Anybody that wins a championship. I mean, if they win a championship, Brunson's getting his number retired.
100% Brunson. Probably Cat, even though it's just his second year here. You part of a championship team, they probably.
All of them.
Maybe it's
all of them.
That'd be crazy.
You bring a championship here for the first time since 73. I'll retire Landry Shamit's number in
put
there.
Kolik's jersey in the rafters. Put everybody.
That Clarkson 00 is taken. Yeah, sorry, man. It's done. It's gone. Everybody's up in there.
That'd be tough.
Everybody. 100%, man. 100%. Shout out to LD. Shout out to LD. Called in last night. He says OG equals Sean Marion. McCall equals Rip Hamilton. Hashtag move the rock Knicks. Okay.
I think OG is a better shooter than Sean Marion ever was.
Yeah, absolutely.
Defensively, I can see it, though. I can see the defense. I can see the transition comp. I can see the finishing. Both of them like to attack the rim strong. But OG, when OG gets hot, he's lights out from three. So that's also part of the, move the ball around. OG's a guy who, when everybody went down due to injury, he's a guy who stepped up and showed you he can put the ball on the floor, make some plays happen, right? So get everybody involved, guys.
Yes, sir. There it is, man. Well, great work, my guy, once again. Coming back for night 2. And yes, I'm assuming you'll be back there tomorrow, right? Wrap things up?
Yes, sir. I will be there tomorrow. Yeah. And then they gonna be heading out to Abu Dhabi soon.
Yeah, so. When are they going? Are they going on Monday?
Yeah, I believe so. And I know Friday. We'll see what availability looks like before then.
Okay. So. All right, cool, man. We'll be tapped in. Keep doing the damn thing, man. Great job, great work. Anything else? So you just dropped the offense piece today, right?
Yeah, we dropped the speed, spacing, and moving and selflessness is how I phrased it. A peek into Mike Brown's offense. That's up on the New York Daily News today, and then a notebook on all the things that Mitchell Robinson said regarding starting and his contract and all that. That's also on the New York Daily News right now. And tomorrow, we'll see. I think we might be getting Malcolm Brogdon tomorrow, so we'll see what he's got to say. This is a veteran who's had a lot of stops in his career, who's shown you that he can play on a playoff team, and that's a really good fit. When you're talking about the backup point guard, we talked about this yesterday. TJ McConnell's running circles around the Knicks, unfortunately, and they were just losing that point guard battle. Malcolm Brogdon, if he's healthy, that's the big question. If he can stay healthy, this is a guy who can really impact the game in so many ways, and he's another lights-out shooter. This is a team, I'll be writing about this tomorrow, this is a team that's got 10 of 11 players that have 40 or close to 40% three-point shooting seasons. So exactly how many threes are y'all planning on shooting the game? That's what I want to know, because last year y'all didn't shoot nearly enough. True. So I'm excited to see what that looks like. I'm excited to talk about that tomorrow, and you get a sneak peek into what we got coming later.
Yeah, because we haven't heard from him, maybe Shamit and OG. Derek's saving OG for last. You know, right. the OG press is about to be 3 minutes. Deuce and Mitch gave you out 5. OG might give you 2.5.
Nah, OG we haven't spoken to OG in a minute. We might get him for a calm 10, you know what I'm saying? We'll shower with some questions, see what he's doing. OG is hilarious. Yeah. OG is too funny.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, anyway, man, great job, man. We'll tap in tomorrow. We'll be checking it out. We'll be looking for the sound bites and keep doing the damn thing, man.
My man, thank you for having me, brother. Anytime.
Yes, sir. Salute to everybody in the chat once again. Kristian Winfield, ladies and gentlemen. Remember to hit the like button, hit the share button, and subscribe to the channel. We got our live counter right here. 96,952. We're ending it.
They going crazy.
Somebody just joined us, man. Yo. Somebody just tapped in with us. So shout out to
brother.
Subscriber number 96952. Shout out to Chris for subscribing, and salute to the replay gang. Remember that these shows are available in audio podcast format. And we'll see you guys tomorrow, man. We got a doubleheader tomorrow on KFTV. We got George, a.k.a. Into the Knicksverse, will be joining us tomorrow. And we'll be live on the NBA reporting as well. I think I got Law Murray of The Athletic coming through, man. Ooh. So we got a big Friday coming up. Make sure you guys are tapping in. Make sure you guys also subscribe on the NBA report side. That's what we're going to be getting back up into the swing of things this season as well, man. All right, so we out of here, man. Great show, everybody. See y'all tomorrow, man. Peace.